Danmark, Roi Dvir, og derfor vil jeg nu fortsætte interviewet her på engelsk. Well, warm welcome to you. Let's begin by discussing the whole tension between Israel and the USA. Observers say they have never been worse, actually. Can you explain from Israel's point of view why it's got so bad?
I don't want to go into a historical comparison or terminology. I want to say in general that the US is the closest ally to Israel, and we have a very warm relations since 1948 when Israel was established. It's a true solid friend for Israel, both politically, both in defense, in any aspects, but also between friends sometimes there are disagreements.
Yeah, and what goes on right now between you?
As I said, there are disagreements between the sides, but we are in contact with the US in all fronts, in all levels. This is a very intimate connection, and we are solving this issue between ourselves, and I think that's how it's supposed to be. And we've heard the Secretary of State Kerry. I think we have to focus on the most important issue, and this is to go back to negotiation, to kick off again the peace process.
But actually, Mr. Vice Ambassador, these disagreements, they are the worst they've ever been, aren't they?
I don't think we have, again, as I said in the beginning, to say if they are worse, but there are disagreements, and this is not change. I mean, the first and foremost, our government responsibility is for Israel security, for Israeli situation. And definitely, as I said, we have a very strong ally with the US. We intend to keep it that way. And we're going to focus and to continue the discussion that we have in order to focus on the very important thing is the Palestinians and the Israelis to go back to negotiation and to promote the peace process.
So you still have good intentions, but people in Israel itself are also concerned about the way Netanyahu has handled things with the US. And I would like to show you a cartoon from the Israeli newspaper Haaretz, and let's have a look. And here we see Netanyahu's policies towards the US. They are compared with the suicide bombers who flew into the World Trade Center. And you see the cartoon right here. Do you agree with the point of this cartoon?
Well, a cartoon is a cartoon, and I think in this situation there is a lot of humor in this cartoon. I'm happy that we are a democracy, that we can allow various opinions to be reflected. As I said before, I think the connections and the ties between Israel and the US are solid. We have disagreements. We had in the past. It's not the first time that we have. And the most important thing is that we are continuing the negotiation and the contact between us in order to resolve those disagreements and to look into the future. That's the most important thing.
And you also point that Israel and the USA have for many years had a very good relationship and very strong ties. So what would it mean to you and your country if that's all lost suddenly?
I don't think we have to speculate about things such as that. That is very far from being happen. Some disagreements and the fact that it will last, it's a very, very long way. We are not going that way. Both sides know that we need the US needs Israel. This is a mutual connection, and we are going, as I said before, to continue to work on that and to resolve the disagreements that we have between ourselves bilaterally.
And as we all know, the biggest issue is the settlement policy and the whole Palestine question. The world watched in horror when the recent war broke out in Gaza. Doesn't this make you consider your whole position?
First of all, I'm not sure that the settlement is the biggest issue. I know that is how it is perceived in Europe, but settlement is one of the main 5 or 6 core issues that we have with the Palestinians, together with Jerusalem, refugees, borders, water, security. This is an important issue, but it's not the only one. What we had in Gaza is of course, it was a difficult summer, and this is a conflict that we didn't want to happen, but it was enforced on us because of Hamas behavior. And I think and I hope that we, after this summer, we are going to use the atmosphere and use the current situation in order to strengthen the moderates in both sides and to promote the peace process, and not to let extremists like Hamas win by trying to set up the agenda.
And we've heard all this before, Mr. Vice Ambassador. Time is running, so let me just ask you, Sweden recently announced that it recognized Palestine as a state. Isn't Israel afraid of becoming an outcast, an isolated state in international relations?
I think that the Swedish move is very unfortunate, this recognition, because this is a symbolic recognition that will not change the situation on the ground. Palestinians eventually going to reach their independent state by discussing and negotiating with Israel. That is the way we reached peace agreement with Jordan and with Egypt, and that's, I hope, the way we're going to be with the Palestinians.
They want Denmark to copy Sweden. What would you think about that?
As I said, I think it's a symbolic move, and I think we have to focus on the real issue, which is going back to negotiation. That is where the Palestinians are going to get their future state, and not by all kinds of unilateral declarations here on the United Nations that are, I think, ruining the atmosphere and counterproductive.
We see what happens in the future. Thank you
Definitely.
so much for joining us,
Thank you very much.
Mr. Vice Ambassador.
Thank you.